I'd like to take a minute to thank this week's sponsor, Shred Claw Apparel. It's a brand by guitarists for guitarists. Shred Claw is a one-man shop, printed and shipped out of his garage in Southern California, featuring artwork from super talented artists from all over the world. On stage or in the pit, we have your back. Visit www.shredclawapparel and use code UnsignedPopPunk20 from now till the end of February to receive 20% off your apparel. Get this dope ass shirt. Welcome to Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. And guess what? It's season 2.
Season 2! We could literally have not gotten this far without all of the listeners, all of the support, everything that you guys have done for us, the guests, the people who've helped us set up the podcast, like literally everything. We could not have done this without you. This is insane.
Yes. Today we have we're starting out with a fun one, okay? And guess what? It's not gonna slow down from here. We've got a lot of fun ones coming up. But this week's season premiere is Casey Cavalier from the Wonder Years.
Dude, I don't even want to talk anymore. Let's get right into this freaking season 2 premiere. Welcome to another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. And today we have a really special guest. But before we get to the special guest, Pat, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, geez, went to me. That just I'm cool.
I'm cool.
Barry, you're cool.
Did you see that?
They don't care. They don't care. It's the same thing. Let's introduce Casey Cavalier from the Wonder Years.
Hey,
some applause there.
I was like, I don't know what they're gonna do. And do they want like a post break here for some sound effects or?
I got spliced. There'll be something weird.
Yeah, throw it in, man.
Be like tiger noises. I don't know.
Yeah, make that crowd
raunchy.
Make that crowd raunchy as hell.
It's just gonna be like grandma's clapping.
It's just gonna be a smattering of like
golf snaps or like golf claps and like
sure,
poetry claps.
Hey, we like
slam,
that.
Slam like poetry that. Claps.
Yeah. Also, Pat, dude, you're selling yourself short, acting like people don't care out here. You don't know that. Never make assumptions like that, buddy.
Well,
you know?
well, here's the thing. I'm just gonna say, like, it's not that they don't care, but it's kind of one of those things that almost every episode, we're like, Bear, how you doing? It's like, it's the same fucking thing, man. It's just Monday, whatever day. What is it? Thursday? It's Thursday.
It's Thursday.
It's just Thursday. It's been a great day. But besides that, welcome to the podcast, Casey. For those of you out there that don't know Casey, you're a founding member of the Wonder Years, producer, host of the record process. Yeah, let's start by talking about the Wonder Years just a little bit. So when you guys were starting out, what were some of your goals? Like, were you hoping to make it big, or just tell us about those early days a little bit?
Yes. Wow. The goal setting, such an important thing, but honestly, early on for us, not a huge thing. In all honesty, we were not taking, as you do, I guess, when you're younger in the teens, we were not taking things too seriously. We had all been in bands in high school that we were, for varying periods of time and space, taking maybe more seriously, taking really, really serious, like abandoned building and like train track photos and things like that.
The best.
Yeah, which I think are all part. If you're in a band right now and you're listening to this, and you haven't found a set of train tracks and drug a photographer with like 3 bags out to it, then honestly, even if you don't use it, just do it, because it's an experience. It's a team building exercise. It's a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
You'll look back.
Look, if you haven't taken a band promo in front of railroad tracks, you're not actually in a band. Get serious.
Also, go find a brick wall from a factory with some broken windows. That's for my edgier alternative, maybe new metal scene bands there.
And then once you get really serious, make sure you go film a music video in the woods.
True, but let's also not forget one of the most important, the graffiti graveyard areas.
Right. Oh my God!
You gotta get spooky.
Yeah, at least you gotta get some graffiti
Right.
backwards.
And the first that first time that you have a photographer that's like really getting into it, because let's be honest, it's your buddy and he's also new to like the photography game. And that's why he convinced you, to let him take your promo shots.
Take those promos.
Great.
Man.
Hey, great exposure. It's gonna be great exposure. Which again, and honestly, I get it. That's also a part of it. Anybody that doesn't know me, you just bear with me. You will know as we get going into here. There's a touch of sarcasm in a lot of what I say and the delivery, but I always mean well, or at least I tell myself that, and I hope it comes across that way. But
for all of our listeners out there, you're gonna have to bring a little more than a touch, okay?
Yeah,
like
Bear,
Pat and
Bear
I
is
go
like
fucking
captain.
deep.
Well,
then
I'm moderately sarcastic. Bear is very like Captain Sarcasm.
Stop it.
To the point to where there's usually, I think you're going to be good with this, but there's usually one really awkward dead moment in every episode to where it's like he says something so fucking weird and everyone's like, oh, what?
What?
okay, great.
What?
Honestly, I'm so here for it. But now, as you've reminded me, I will take my shot at some point this hour if I can remember, just to really hold back. Even though I could fill the space, I'll try to deliver that for the audience. But anyway, trying to keep this this thing on the tracks, the train tracks, the same ones that you took a photo in high school.
Yep.
The goals were not really a huge thing because I think the band started as just sheer boredom, and a bunch of friends that had all been playing in different bands, and just kind of got up, and the punk pop punk realm that a lot of the bands like Motion City and a lot of things in that world at the time were kind of waving the flag of in the like Warped Tour main stage purview, was kind of like this uniting like common ground, because all the different bands that we were in were coming from a lot of different directions, whether it's like noodly tapping, like post indie rock, to shit that sounds like a worse Springsteen, to everything in between that you find at a VFW hall floor show. And the pop punk thing was just kind of a uniting, like, fun, lighthearted way to kind of come together and write a quick joke song. And then that spun out of control into a few more joke songs, and that helped us in a way. And I look back at it fondly because I think it's very easy to take things far too seriously, far too soon, before you have any sense of what's really happening or what you really even have as a band, or if you have really anything worth people's time, which is, I think, another thing where people are like, why is this, it's so hard. So it's like, well, it's because you just didn't, it's not in it. Like, you're doing it for the wrong reasons, and in this case, the reasons for us were purely to have fun. And then it was interesting because we were having fun, we were enjoying it, and because we didn't hold on to it too tight with like a laundry list of goals that were way outside the realm, that allowed us to kind of keep it slowly simmering in the background as we went away to college, and kind of did our own thing, but always came back to it. So then by the time we were finished up with school, we had a moment where we had kept a band going. We had slowly kind of transitioned to say, hey, if we're going to keep writing more songs, maybe let's pull in some serious life experience stuff, and something that's a little bit more honest and earnest for our singer and lyricist Dan to stand behind, and has some weight to it, which is not, that was not the goal early on. Right. So that was definitely a big shift. And I think at that point it was kind of turned to initially, if I remember correctly, the idea of, well, okay, we know we have like some semblance of a fan base. We had put out a full length, an EP, some other stuff, and had gained a little bit of press, and there were a few, like, we weren't like, people weren't like beating down the doors and like selling out arenas, at that point, but there was enough of something there that we felt good about the idea of testing the waters and saying, hey, do you want to try to do this and take it on the road again? And maybe put some serious energy and legwork into chasing this down and putting out more music and taking some of those things more seriously in that way, to be able to facilitate, at that point, even, I don't think the idea of like career were in the canon or in the, the things in the way that we were framing it. We certainly didn't think that we'd be here in the position like 15 years later where we are,
Right.
But so it happened slowly. It is so much to say. And I think that allowed us to really in a small way and a gradual and an intentionful way to pick out things that were important to us, and to make sure that we were doing things with honesty and to really see how it started kind of one by one, step by step resonating. So the goal initially was, hey, can we not lose money because we're not getting quote unquote real jobs right now? So that was kind of step one. And I remember thinking back and being like, well, okay, here are my expenses, like phone bill, rent. I mean, even like still, it's like, this was right out of college. So I think just you throw everything back like in your parents' basement or a storage locker kind of thing. And, and just say, all right, this is the bare minimum a month I have to make to just like not be homeless and or try to like feed, clothe myself and maybe pay for, I don't know, like your sidekick bill or my razor,
right.
from
side
that day. Right. So that was the small one. And then it kind of,
you just sent Pat reeling real quick.
did I trigger something?
Poor guy lost something right there.
No, I never had a sidekick, but I always wanted one. It was just,
what?
I thought it was just a,
but I never did either. Our singer and I think one of our tour managers at one point had them, and man, thing looked fun. It was definitely like the Razor flip phone was okay, but it was not a sidekick.
No,
right.
I mean, being able to just flip it, it was
Yep.
dope.
But like, let me take you back real quick before we keep going to the idea behind and not taking yourself too seriously. Because let's be honest, for all those people out there listening right now who are in their first band or starting a new band or like whatever it is, they're brand new to whatever section it is. Hearing someone say, especially someone successful that you've looked up to for a while, hearing somebody say, don't take it too seriously is honestly the last thing you really want to hear somebody say. Like,
he's gone. I don't know where he went.
Like, and I'm kind of being serious here for this. Oh, well, at least I'm still recording on my local files because
you're good.
It's pretty great. But with that said, like, people don't want to hear that because it's hard to hear.
Yeah. And I'm sorry for that, but also not sorry.
Understand?
No.
Right. Exactly. It's like you don't want to hear. It's because it's the truth. Like
I feel like especially in the like the earlier 2000s, the earlier-ish 2000s. Like anyone starting a pop punk band almost always took like the Blink-182 approach and was almost a little too goofy, like right out the gate. And then they're like, oh, this is actually kind of cool. Let's write something meaningful. I think like my first songs that I wrote when I was like, I'm going to do pop punk. Like I wrote a fucking song about like Furbies. It was just the dumbest stuff when just still learning how to write songs.
Dude, I remember, so when my band first started out, we were like acoustic pop punk, right? So it's just two guitars, two vocals. And I remember going, I'm gonna put a fucking breakdown in this acoustic guitar song, and it's just gonna be chugs on an acoustic guitar. And the whole breakdown was talking about how pissed we would get when somebody called Link Zelda. That's not who it fucking is. It's Link. Like, get the fuck over it. And that was the whole breakdown, was just acoustic guitars chugging and talking about Link.
And you know what? Right. And so, some of those things, and much like even some of the few things that maybe never even saw the light of day when, it was more or less, much closer to a Weird Al album on the genre spectrum than it is to where we have landed, years later. There's a mindset and a mentality. Well, the material itself might need work and might need refinement over time. And that's part of the creative journey of finding yourself and understanding what feels best and what amalgamation of influences, whether it's yourself individually and which will hold more weight, or as a band, and all those creative influences. That's one journey. But then the other one is, at the same time, not trying to stress yourself out over a ton of things that you can't control. And I think that's a thing for a lot of people to ruminate on, just outside of being a band. If you're in any creative discipline, art, photography, videography, and starting out that journey, or maybe you're in the midst of it, but you're still feel like you're kind of scratching and clawing to get some momentum going. Focusing your energy as best you can on the things that you can control versus what you can't. And I think the approach of not taking things too seriously allows things to unfold, and everybody that comes into your world or comes across your band, even if they don't necessarily like the music, right? Even if they're like, they lost me with the Link Zelda breakdown. You know what I mean? Like, they will.
You never lose anybody with the Link Zelda breakdown.
Look, if I did, I wouldn't want to keep them.
I hate to break it to you. You probably did, but also for every one that you lost, you probably really locked another one in like, wholeheartedly. And that's an honesty thing. Yeah.
If I lose you, you're not the person I wanted anyway.
And that's a whole.
If you're gone due to a Link Zelda issue, we're fighting. If I meet you in real life, we're fighting. It's a problem.
That's another whole separate category and almost conversation.
Sure, it is.
Itself, being
true. A whole different podcast right there.
But in this way, we were just doing what we loved and what we were getting enjoyment out of, and not trying to necessarily, there's emulation in everything because it's just baked into your influences. You like what you like, so that's going to come out and manifest itself in whatever you're doing and making. But we weren't holding on to things and trying to like ascribe goals, like milestones, like we've got to get this many MySpace plays and this, and because that was the vanity metric in that day. And
we're well aware.
Yeah.
I miss it.
And so I think that was when I say not taking things too seriously, everybody's journey is different, right? If you start a band ground one with a very dense subject matter, it's going to be hard to tell that person, just don't take it so seriously. It's like, well, that's kind of the thing. That's kind of the art. But in saying, don't take it so seriously, you can apply that mindset to other aspects of it to be like, hey, you can't control whether or not somebody hits like on a photo. What you can control is if somebody does, engage or reach out to you, how you respond to that, and things of that kind all throughout that.
Absolutely. And look, like through, again, for anybody out there listening who's trying to get this shit going, you're going to get haters. You're going to get people who don't understand. And that's okay. Learn to deal with the punches. Learn to just fucking keep going. And you brought up a really good point about, mimicking the people who influenced you. Like, there was a long time where I was like, oh, I really want to be like this vocalist because I love everything they do. I love what they stand for. And I was making music that just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it was mine. And then the moment I let go, shit started to click. So if you're out there like right now thinking like, oh, I really want to sound, it's okay to have these influences. And everyone brings their influences into their music, but do it the way you do it. Like, dude, there's sometimes I find myself singing in the car to try to sound like the guy I'm listening to. Yeah. And it's like, wait, why am I even doing that? Like, just do it the way I do, because who gives a shit if they like it or not? Who gives a shit if they like the whole Link Zelda thing? It's for me. This is my thing. So if that's you out there, like, do it for you. And, to piggyback off what Casey's saying, when you're starting a band, not taking it too seriously, it's like the way I always imagined it is like starting something with open hands. Letting go of that control that you think you might want to have with it, because you have no idea where it's going to go. It was just born, right? Like, you have no idea what kind of life that it's going to be. That's what Pat and I did when we started this podcast. We're like, we're going to do like 10 episodes. We're not even going to figure out what we're like. We're not even going to like label it until those 10 episodes are done, because by the time we've reached episode 10, it'll be something completely different than what it was during episode 1. And you go into this with this lack of control and let it be its own thing. And you created that. when it comes to music, you guys created those songs. Like, that's yours. Just let it be itself. And there's so much freedom in that. There's so much like there's less stress when you're trying to when you're just letting
you
it
got to
be.
be able to have fun.
Yeah.
And if it's not fun, it's not worth doing.
Exactly.
Well, and so a couple of things on that. One, it's interesting that you say, you set the 10 episode mark, but let's see where it takes us. I think that's a really, really sage piece of advice in that way, and how it relates to, in almost a metaphoric sense, songs. Young bands that they're just like, hey, what, and I, being asked this question pretty often, hey, I have a new band, I have a new project, or, we're trying to get off the ground. What would you recommend? Do you have any advice? Like, what's the most important thing, to do, whatever, I think that in some ways, is dependent on where you are and the way that that advice is presented or qualified. Because again, everybody truly is different. One person might be like, hey, you can't play guitar. Like, you should either play something else or really work on that if you want this to work, right? But then somebody else might be at a virtuoso level and then just be writing songs that I'm just like, well, they're just pretty vapid and they're not gripping at all, right? So that's like two different. So it's tough to say work on this, work on that, but that is why the umbrella and the overarching thought that I usually come back to on that is write as many songs as you can, not because, and understand again, not trying to make everyone perfect, because perfectionism is the death of invention. And in a lot of ways, I can be honest, that stifled me in a lot of my output as a teenager, and even like outside Wonder Years for years, as we were getting going, because I wanted things so wholeheartedly to be finished. And I think that was a lot of like ego trying to prove, that I could make the perfect song or curate the perfect arrangement, which says a lot in terms of also from a songwriting process. You will start to uncover, if you're in a band, for example, you'll start to uncover strengths and weaknesses across each member, right? And be like, hey, our singer might be like pretty good. Like, there's some room to improve, but you might realize, oh, holy shit, your drummer can shred and do this stylistic thing that's really unique. And you will only start to reveal or see those patterns if you kind of just let it go, instead of trying to be like, nope, we're this band, we don't do that. Our fills are like this, and then our guitar parts are like this. That's it. If you're so rigid, you're going to miss the things that actually make you unique and authentic as an artist. Right. Absolutely. And that's literally, especially now, people are like, well, how the fuck do I cut through the noise? That's how you cut through the noise, by being, counter to the current in that way. And so by writing songs, that's what you find. Now with Wonder Years, the record that we're finishing up right now sounds a whole lot different. Now, there are portions of it in there that definitely harken back to songs that I'm relearning right now for this upcoming tour, right? Yep. Absolutely. But it's everything in between. And I think the beauty of that is that we did, at a certain point in our career, start slowly and methodically, like, letting go and letting up and trusting the underlying current and filter of what it is. A Wonder Years song will always be a song that makes it through the gauntlet of the six of us. And that is like a really incredible thing, to be able to get to a point to trust your whole band as an entity and a force, and be able to rely and lean back on that. And instead of being like, hey, I'm worried, is this song going to turn out great? Is this album going to be bad? Whatever. Are people going to like it? You can just be like, hey, decidedly, it will, if for nothing else, be a Wonder Years record. And that seems like that's worked in a lot of ways thus far. So getting to that point, and granted, it's tough if you got 3 songs, but it's better than one song, because you can stretch in different ways on each song and start to understand and grow.
And let's go back a little bit to what you were talking about when it comes to like even just the writing process. Like, you brought up a really cool point. Look, leave your ego at the fucking door. Like, leave your ego at the fucking door. If there's a better guitar part out there than the one that you came up with, or the one that maybe you can't play and have to learn it, put it on the fucking record because it fits the song better. Leave your like. I'm a shit guitar player. I love playing guitar. I'm a shit guitar player, right? Like Victor could write he's my guitarist. He could write all the things and I'd just be like, it's better than what I would get. And then I might have to play it live, right? Like, okay, I'll learn it. But if he's coming up with it, that's all that like matters. Let people shine where they're supposed to shine. And I told this to Pat, I think yesterday on our last podcast, I was like, dude, if they made a bare vocal plugin where like I didn't have to even go into the studio to sing or to record vocals, I'd just let the producer do it. I'd just let him do it because he'd come up with something so much better than I would. Like, and there's
maybe
like,
you never know.
You never know. And I'm selling myself short, sure. But the idea behind it
things.
is stop. The idea behind it is like leave your ego at the door. Like somebody else, like there are musicians out there who are better than every single one of us on the Zoom call, who are better than every like, and all of those musicians think each other are better than them. The real ones. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. And
it's that simple.
And I think a lot of what you're kind of diving into there too applies to the idea that a band at a certain point has to identify their strengths and weaknesses and why things aren't working. And sometimes it's a tough pill to swallow, or even worse so, they may never get there because their community around them, nobody wants to tell them the truth. It's like, hey man, the reason the song's not streaming is because it's not that great, or the recording's bad, and I've had to do that. And I've gotten better at it because I also had to swallow a lot of those ego points, getting better over the years myself from people that could way outplay me, people that are just like, cool, I can push back. I'm allowed to have my own opinions, but also I definitely don't have a wall full of Grammys. So there must be something in that brain of yours that's, if people keep trusting you. And I come back, this is the big thing. You mentioned the record process, the podcast. We're about to start rolling out new episodes this February. And a huge staple in that that we take from my creative process, and I've seen it so firsthand with Wonder Years over the last 2 decades. But then in every other project that I touch, from a production end, from a mix end, from a songwriting end, is this idea of trust. You can't walk in and just be like, boom, that's bad, that's wrong, this should be like that, and that should be like that. Because then you're just trying to like make your record with your own record with somebody else's hand, right? You have to start to understand that it is very difficult for someone who wrote a song, made all these decisions that they think are objectively correct, to then have that challenged. And that can be a really fragile process. But the bands that I've seen that are most successful are the ones that get to a point where they identify this could be better. They maybe get a peek behind the curtain at some really calculated feedback, or like honest feedback from somebody that cares, and maybe it's said gingerly and not heavy handed.
And developing that relationship with that producer even.
Well, and some of them, like I say, some of them don't get there or don't get an opportunity to, or don't have the means, whatever it is. But the first thing is identifying, hey, where could we be better? Right. And then taking whatever small step you're able to take as a band is usually a thing. And being able to challenge yourself and saying, and I see it every day where it's like, well, I don't know, I really like this, and be like, totally fine. Just try it. And try it twice, because you're going to hate it the first time because you have demoitis, because you've been sleeping on this song for like 2 years, right? The same exact version and the mix that you've been tweaking and pining on the demo, like this, that, every nuance of it. So anything that's not that will objectively sound wrong, and having to deal with that. And that is why I say being open-minded and realizing you are there and you are bringing these songs, they are your babies. But you want your babies to grow and thrive. And also sometimes as a parent, in the parenting mentality, you can't be overbearing because you're going to stifle your kid, right? So you got to let them go and be like, hey, are you a world-class collegiate swimmer? No, then why don't you let the swim coach your child in that,
Absolutely.
And in that same way, it's just like, if someone else has thoughts or different perspectives, bring them in. That doesn't mean you have to listen to every single one, but like at least try it. And honestly, like 9 times out of 10, I've watched it time and time again with the band. It's like, I don't know, and be like, hey, I'm not saying that I'm right. It is just a thought I'm having. But also at a certain point with the production relationship, it's like, you're hiring me to give you those thoughts, you know, and deliver them. My name goes really small on the back of the record. You're the name that, you know, and the photo that goes really large on the front. So this is your record. Do whatever you want. But also, I think you want it to be better if you've made it this far and are trying to extend that kind of trust. But it is tough, and some people are not good at fostering.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know what? Before we get into the whole producer thing, because we want to dive deep into like your mentality behind being a producer. What is the importance of pre-production and demos? For anybody out there listening who may not even know what that is, what is that importance as a band in general?
Right. Well, for anybody that is curious about this, we actually on season 1 of the record process, where we kind of walk through the entire like phase by phase of making a record, we do, I think, like a multi-part series on pre-production for exactly this reason, because we've seen the value of it and how much of an impact it makes to the overall final product. And you talk about like production philosophies and then record making philosophies. Truly, I think like great records are most, if not all of the time, made or broken in that pre-production phase. And I say this because that pre-production phase can look very different from one record to another, from one band to another, right? Depending on the makeup of the band and all of that. So the goal is what we're talking about in those trust moments. That's kind of where all of that starts to really come together in terms of the foundation, right? So you can have like tweaks to be like, hey, I think I want the vocal down like 0.1 dB, you know, and be like, okay, that's a back and forth like debate. But also at that point, I will be completely honest, a vocal up or down is not going to make the song a hit or not, right? You know, hit in air quotes. What is a hit, right? So that's why I say that what will make a difference is, hey, the chorus is good, but your drummer's right foot is overplaying the hell out of it. Let's refine that pattern so it actually gives space to the vocal and works with it. And then really lock in on that, right? And so it's like that's a foundational element, and then building up everything on top of it. Because a lot of it, and just like the 10,000 foot view for me of making a really great, compelling record is engage in every part, every phase of that process as though the next process doesn't exist, you know? So if you're writing a song, right, try to write the hell out of it so that to get it to a point where you think it doesn't need anything else or is great, right? And then be able to challenge yourself and go into pre-production with somebody whose opinion you also trust, and reach out in that way and see if you can make it better, right? And have the pre-production as though if you were going to put a microphone in the middle, so this being with like a live band, right? Like in the world of like pop punk, this being like if you can put a microphone in the middle of your practice space, in the middle of your garage, your attic, your basement, whatever, make the arrangement so good and so tight that even if somebody just listens to a recording of one microphone in the middle of the room and has no idea what plans you have for the production, they'd be like, yo, that song rips. Right. And that is an incredibly powerful thing, as though you're not going to go record it and do all the bells and whistles and modern, like, you know, kick flips and everything like that.
Right. Right.
And same thing with recording and mixing. Record with the intent that you shouldn't need to ask whoever is mixing it, even if it's yourself, to fix things later. Yeah. Right.
And that brings it back to like what we've said on this podcast probably a million times before, where it's like, focus on writing a good song. That, just like you said, write the fuck out of that song. Like, because you can polish a turd as much as you want, and it's still going to be a shit song. But if you can start off with a skeleton that has like an actual foundation, a good structure, a perfect way, like perfect building blocks, that is what's going to get you to the best song that it can possibly be. I'm not talking about searching for a hit. I'm not talking about trying to get on charts. I'm talking about serving the song the best way you can as an artist, for you and for your band. It starts as simple. It's as simple as picking up an acoustic fucking guitar and writing the shit out of some good ass lyrics. Just went through a breakup, write some shit out of that. You know, like did the best thing that you've ever done in your life. You had in a moment, write the fuck out of that. It's not rocket science. And back to what you're saying about like pre-pro and demo and all that process. If that's not something that you have the access to, maybe you're not new, like you're new to the studio thing. Maybe you don't even have your first interface yet. Go to somebody you trust. It's okay. Like, hell, you can pay a producer. Hey, I'm going to give you like a couple $100 and we're going to demo out a song. And then you can take that home and go, what would I change? How would I change it? Write it. And then once you have those ideas down, go to a producer that you trust and get that shit on lock. Right. It's a really in-depth process. And honestly, quite frankly, it's a time-consuming process. I had a song that I started 4 fucking years ago and just finished like last year, right? Sometimes I've had a song that I start in 5 minutes and I'm like, this is actually something good. Like, what the fuck? It's not about the time. It's about the effort that you put into it. A good song will always shine through no matter what. Hell, that's most of the fucking like 60s, 70s, and 80s with like, honestly, let's be honest here, some of the shit production versus what we have to today. Now, granted, they did amazing things with the things that they had with their time, and it blows my mind what they could do. But they didn't have access to modern day tools, and their songs are still so iconic because it's a good song.
Well, and they're the exact examples that prove the philosophy I was just talking about, where they recorded things, the records, they didn't need all the extra polish and all the extra like scrubbing and surgical fixes, because straight up, if you were standing in that room and you heard those vocal performances, you heard those full band live recording performances, you'd be like, oh, that's going to sound great. You know what I mean? Like you have no idea anything about gear, and you're like, well, how could they fuck that up? That sounded incredible.
But at the same time, and I could be completely wrong with this, I feel like the thing you were talking about earlier about like, developing the community around you to be honest, I feel like back then they were just straight up with you, like, holy shit, you can't play guitar. Like,
also they'll kick you out of the studio. They'll be like, absolutely not.
No, I'm bringing in my musician. Like, I'm bringing in my studio musician who's on retainer. Because it's like, now I can go in and I can quantize shit. I can go in and I can edit whatever the hell I need to edit. Hell, I'm not even that great of a singer. It sounds like I am, thanks to like the shit that we got. But back then, you were wasting time, money, space, tape. You were wasting resources.
Right. I mean, nowadays, like, you can have people that that can't really play guitar, but you're like, well, we'll just bounce you in right here.
Yep.
You missed this note. We'll just have you hit this note. We'll punch you in right here.
Yep. Or even just like sitting there, like, you want something really beefy, you just like strum on like the low E or whatever you're tuned it down to, right? Just the one, and then you do it again, and then you do it a third time, and now you have 3 of them, and then you put them all together, and they're huge, and then you like pan one left, one right, one center, and you're like, there you go. I just played the one note, like, and then sometimes you just play it to a metronome, like, try this. And then you just play to a metronome, no music, no whatever. And then you take that, you drag it over and you plug it in. Like,
and you know what, Bear? So that actually kind of brings me to another portion of the kind of philosophical mindset, if you will, that making Wonder Years records has certainly grilled into my DNA and made me a firm believer in, but also seeing it work outside of just us and seeing other bands that are incredibly talented as players and vocalists and are amazing live bands, right? It's the fact that what you're describing, you can do that with modern tools, and you can like kind of like one by one, you can quantize things. You can effectively turn a less less rhythmically consistent drummer into MIDI hits, right? If you want to. However, I would also then, and this is my philosophy, challenge the idea and vocabulary of perfection, because when you talk about quantizing, beat detectiving thing, these are all tools, but just like any other tool, you can overuse it and you can use it incorrectly. And that, for me, making great records, and with Wonder Years, if you look back at like the first records we did, and admittedly we probably needed a little bit of help here and there, no two ways about it, in terms of editing, we're not as strong of players. We were not, as strong vocally as we are now across the board. And I'm thankful that we were able to make a record that conveyed the vision of those songs without distractions of those imperfections. But now, I'll give you a great example. Every record since Upsides, we've done pre-production demos that effectively shake out to all of us in a live band doing multi-tracking. So before we even get in the studio, we know how the overall blend will sound from a live perspective standpoint, right? No overdubbing, no let's quad stack these guitars and then that part will sound right. No, we want the honest take of what this song is going to sound like when it's played back live in a venue without any other, special effects or trickery. And if we get it to a point where we convince ourselves that that's working, or there's something not working, we adjust it in the arrangement between the six of us that we have right there. That's not to say we can't go and do other things to embellish it and use those tools. However, that's a huge important factor for us and a driving force, so much so that then when it came time to do Sister Cities, we made a calculated choice with Joe Ciccarelli. We went out to LA and we were doing all of our tracking at Sunset Sound, and we did it in their Studio One live room. We tracked 80% of that record live. All of those that you hear is all of that band through that Neve board. And sure, if something needed to be overdubbed, there was a weird crackle in the guitar line, or that effect trail was a little screwy or wasn't clean. But I'm not kidding, 80% of that all across the band was all done live. The takes are our bass player and drummer playing together, and they are not quantized and snapped to a grid all separately. There's an ebb and flow in that energy that is decidedly, like I said, trusting your band. That is decidedly Wonder Years. It is decidedly that rhythm section. It is so much of us playing off of each other and the energy and excitement of a take. I don't think anybody would listen to those records and be like, ooh, their timing's a little off.
Right.
But if you look at that against a grid, you'll see the band kind of dip, peak, and accentuate those moments in theatrics on a small scale. We're not falling off or behind the click. It's what a real band does and how the human element of that music. So that is the one thing that I would also compel a lot of bands nowadays to look at, is you can do that, but don't look at that as a supplement for getting better as a live band, because if any of those songs start gaining traction, you're going to have to go play it, and immediately people are going to know what you did. So consider that, because that's that other side of the coin. Also, let's be real, up until 2 years ago, touring was the only way you were probably going to be able to make any semblance of money to support yourself and support your career that you're trying to grow. Absolutely. So why would you spend all this time trying to fake something out in the studio for things that aren't there, just to go have it fall flat live? And maybe that was your one chance, because then what's going to happen is somebody's going to be like, yo, I was listening to that song a lot, I was really excited to see you guys, and it was awful. Not a fan, right? And that's the whole thing. It's sometimes you do get one shot, and that memory is kind of scarred, and be like, even if you continue to put out great things, there's still bands to this day that 20 years ago were incredible, had records that were gold, platinum records, and there are people that still are just yeah, I saw them, they were bad live. well, they probably didn't end up their career like 10, 15 years later, bad live, but that memory still sticks. And there are so many people out there, maybe some of them are listening now, that remember the Wonder Years as a bad live band, because at one time we might have fallen into that category. You know, I would say we would fall into the category of not the most calculatedly assembled live act, right? And now that's been something that's been fun for us to explore, but we've also explored it in honesty and to get to the point where you can really trust by just doing the reps and playing together for 15 years. We're like, hey, we sound pretty darn good and pretty tight, and we feed off of each other and try to like elevate all of our performances, because nobody wants to be the one that kind of like blows a take or whatever. And then you get this really incredible power out of it. And it makes the experience that much better. And that's like this intangible that translates to a record that you can't really match.
That's fantastic. So, okay, we got one more question for you before we get into our next segment. This has been freaking incredible. Guys, if you guys are out there listening and you're just like you're not like hearing anything, figure the fuck out. We have Casey from the fucking Wonder Years, somebody who's been there, done that. Take their advice. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? Anybody on this podcast that we've ever talked to has always given advice. So the one thing that Pat and I have always come back to is there are many ways, okay? Every way is just a way. And as Casey said earlier, every tool is a tool, but it can be overused. Make sure that you're doing it the way that is true to you and the way that you guys calculate and communicate with your band. Casey has been talking to us about the communication that he's got with his band and that level of trust that they have built and that they have developed over the course of years doing this shit. You're not going to get good right off the bat. Talk to each other, communicate with each other, have fun with each other, play around loosely, do what you got to do. When it comes down to it, write a good-ass song, get good-ass production, and good-ass crew behind you. With that said, Casey, the last question we want to ask you is, what made you want to start getting into the producer engineering game? What was that like for you? What was that hurdle? Because like we've all been there. Like I was in a band before I even decided to start a studio, and my studio is basically I'm just trying to crank out demos right now. It's not that great, but hey, demos and starting on a good song. So what made you want to like take that route?
I think it's a pretty simple answer in and of it that you start writing, and for me, writing as a guitar player, first and foremost, but then in just, a full song scope, you need something to bring to the band. Right. So it starts with, a little 2-channel interface, many years ago. Right. Just to put ideas down, get ideas down. And I think it, over the course of making records, with Wonder Years and seeing that whole, like, extended period, whether it be, a year, 2 years until, from the first song, first ideas of the first semblance of songs to, the final masters, right? Or just like spending a month in a studio in that mindset, grinding like 12, 14 hours a day. You see the transition. So then every time you go back to tracks and demos, you get a little bit more ambitious and say, well, I know how good it sounds, when we do it this. So maybe let me try and reach a little bit better or up the quality or try some new production things, and learn from the arrangement decisions and things like that. So it started to kind of grow in that way, just from kind of like you said, just from demos, right? And doing that and enjoying to do that. And then the experimentation part was already kind of baked in because, like I said, I was a guitar player. So I'm already used to experimenting with the effects worlds, whether it be time-based effects, gain, compression, volume, right? Some things that maybe if you were a drummer, you naturally wouldn't gravitate or have a handle on. Some drummers do, and don't get me wrong. But that is, for me, was a very easy foray into, okay, well, now how am I using those creatively to sew these ideas together? And again, all tools, right? With a pedal board, it's all tools just to manipulate one sound source. And then the extrapolation of that is, well, how's everything, if we're all working together with a great live mix in a band in a basement, and let's be real, it wasn't a great mix early on. I'm sure the guitars were way too loud. You hear no vocal.
We get it.
We've all been there. That would also be, as a quick aside note, if you're in a band right now, dude, I'm gonna make myself sound so fucking old, and I don't care. It's hard. I challenge you, turn your guitars down until you can actually hear the vocal
Preach.
in your practice space.
Fucking preach.
Because you will know.
Yo,
Because,
can you say it again for the people in the back, please?
that is one. If you talk about, like hindsight being 2020, that is truly one where when you get in the world, and we did. So the first record we did with Steve Evans, who I love dearly. For those of you that don't know, maybe you can throw it in the show notes. Go look up his discography, and you probably are aware of a few of his pretty legendary releases over the years. He's done Saves the Day. He's responsible for pretty much a large swath of Dillinger Escape Plan's catalog, which, if anybody knows that band, woo,
Oh yeah.
and I'm sure a lot of drummers know that band for a certain reason. But anyway, so we kind of affectionately refer to it as from a drumming standpoint, Steve Evans Boot Camp. But it's because he's tracked so many technical animals, and he's one of the best engineers I know. And getting in on that, it was the first thing where this is before we even, were running in-ear rigs and everything was all internal and all, digital. This was just like, we all had rooms, we set up, and the first thing is like, I can't hear, I've got earplugs in and I can't hear anything. Like, can the guitars turn down? And of course the guitarist is like, well, I can't hear myself. Well, now he turned down, now he's too loud. All I hear is him, like, I can't get in the vibe. Save yourself that, because if you do work with a producer that says, all right, let's try this, I want to hear what it sounds like in the room, that's the first thing that he kind of does, and I take that and I run with that. Every record I do like that now. If I'm doing pre-production like that, I'm actually trying to get a sense of hearing the vocal, because whether you like it or not, your singer is going to be on the top of the mix. You know what I mean? Probably, depending on the genre, of course. Everything.
And if you don't like it, be in an instrumental band.
Right, totally. It's like, then there's also a lane for that as well. If you just want those guitar leads and tapping up front, right? Then do that on your save time. But again, serving the song, you want to hear that, because that vocal, if that's going to be the most prominent thing in the mix, then why are you like not hearing it? Because you can make way more calculated decisions to support that with the rest of the band and have it work cohesively.
But that said, singers, make sure you get your head out of your asses. You're not the most important person in the band just because you're the vocalist. Sit down, shut the fuck up, and help load in, okay?
You sound very stupid if the band isn't there. So
exactly. You taking this as a solo project is not
bud.
You sound like a guy yelling that has maybe you do have some mental health issues, and that's okay. We're not shaming that, but like, it definitely looks a little different if you don't have a band that's there to like support and guide you.
Going solo isn't going to work out for you. Let's just put it that way, okay? If the band leaves, you don't have a band, okay? With that
you can't
said,
play
though, like,
every instrument at once simultaneously.
There are people out there, and they're fucking incredible. It's amazing.
You can, but not in the genre that we're here speaking about, I think.
But with that said, there's an importance to understanding the part and the role that you play in your band. 100%. Like, when I first started my first garage band, it was just about play as much as I could. Like, I want to be heard. Like, and then like you kind of grow up and you're like, what's more important than always playing music? Playing the pauses. What's more important than having like one thing to go? Like, it's just fucking play the pauses. Do your part.
That's right. That's right.
It makes
print out a note and stick it on the fridge, stick it on your amp, wherever. It's just less is more. And think about one place in whatever song that you can implement that and see if it works for you. It doesn't always work. Sometimes you need the chaos, but sometimes you got to let it breathe.
So with that, we're going to go to a quick break, and we will be right back with our last segment.
This portion of this week's episode is sponsored by Humans Were Here Records. To celebrate the release of their first single of 2022, TLB's Fucked Up and Lonely, they will be hosting a Zoom party on February 7th at 7:30 p.m. You'll get to hang out with the band, and a slew of other awesome guests. There will be games, prizes, and attendees will also receive exclusive coupon codes. To attend, all you have to do is visit the Humans Were Here Instagram, click the link in their bio to pre-save the song, and you're good to go. Fucked Up and Lonely by TLB is streaming everywhere beginning February 8th. I watched them, and you were on like one of the one of the smaller stages. It wasn't main.
Yeah, that checks out. Oh, puppy.
Man, I remember my
Good
first
dude.
tour as a hired gun. I flew out to Pennsylvania or whatever, and I was listening to Came Out Swinging, like, and just
Classic.
yeah, and I was like, because I was literally sleeping on the airport floor, like waiting for my flight, and I'm like, this is the life, man. This is what I
Is he behind me? Yeah.
So,
all right. With that said, we're gonna go into our next segment. Pat, do you want to bring us in, or you want me to?
I got it. Absolutely.
You
So
got
this is our obscure questions segment. It's just weird off the wall questions. Anything that while we're kind of working on our, important questions, just random things that popped into our head. So with that,
This has nothing to do with music.
no. So being in, well, I mean, kind of. So
okay, a little. These
Who
ones-
knows where? You don't know where my answer's going.
so with being an elder emo like myself, what is one part of emo / like pop punk culture that you wish you could bring back from the dead?
Oh, wow. Well, age is just a number and all about how you feel. So don't call me old, but yes, I see what you're saying. No, I'm just playing. No, I feel it on the colder days.
My knees hurt tonight.
Yeah. What is something that I wish I could bring back?
Yeah, like studded belts. Like, what about like the cool graphic design T-shirts back in the 2008?
The all over print T-shirts that my friend Mike Cordata probably was responsible for like 95% of for like a 10-year period in the Hot Topic wall.
Do you remember? Do y'all remember like the side print shirts for a while there too?
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Yeah,
I remember it all, and some of it wish I could forget. Still trying to.
Yeah. So which one would you bring back?
Ooh, honestly, you know what? I will say, if we're bringing it back for the bit, not because I thought it was like a glamorous fashion choice, I will say that I do have a very loose memory. This is like in the the complete antithesis of the like skinny jean like emo segment, the wallet chain, which is not necessarily.
I got one on right now.
Oh, dude, honestly, amen. Bless your heart. I had one years ago, and I feel like I remember this was, and if we're talking about like subculture fashion and everything that you would purchase in a Hot Topic or Spencer's, I feel like the wallet chain stuff for a while was just like, how many wallet chains could you like get on there, and then it went to like, okay, bandanas, and then it went to it just kept going.
How many wristbands you can
right and I don't know, the wallet chain thing was just like a, hey, do you really want to make your belt work overtime? Okay, cool. Let's throw like 8 pounds of a dangly metal on it,
Perfect,
and see how that lives. Yeah.
I'd have to say I missed. I was just gonna say I'd have to say I miss Dickies.
There you go.
I miss Dickies.
Oh, what are you talking about? They never went away.
I am also wearing those right now, though.
Oh, my
See, exactly.
Okay. If you got quantum leaped into a cartoon dimension, what animated character would you want to share a body with, and why?
Ooh, animated character.
Yeah.
This is a tough one. So I'm not. I mean, I love cartoons, but it's just like when someone puts you on the spot, I'm just like, oh, the favorite all-time animated character. I mean, I guess that's literally so many.
To be fair, mine would be Perry the Platypus. So,
Hey, honestly, to each their own. I feel like I want, I don't know. I kind of start to go to like, I almost start to go to like the old like comic book like DC Marvel world, because
there you go.
Because truthfully, and again, I I did miss like the comic book like wave. I feel like so many people, it's like if you got bit by that early, you're just in. And I respect the hell out of that because it is such an incredible art world. I shout out Patrick. I saw that behind you. I love that. You should have started the episode with this convo. This would have really made you feel at home. And you could have tried
that yesterday.
And you could have taught me a thing or two. No, but I think aside from like going with somebody that has like a super sexy bod, you know, dude, I mean, the flying. People are like, "What superpower would you like?" Truly flying. It's just like I feel like, you know, from a dream state. I love that idea and really obsessed with that. And I feel like it has this like beautiful, like detached, like acceptance to it. Yeah. And also kind of like, you know, facing down the fear of heights kind of thing and letting go. So I feel like it would probably be somewhere in the like Superman, but he's obviously not the only fly guy, right?
But he is the fly.
But he is the fly guy. Right. Yeah. So
I got you.
Superman. Yeah.
All right. We'll do that. Okay. So we're going to move on to our next segment. We got to get you out of here. We want to respect your time. Thank you so much for being here, but we're going to keep going. This next segment is called Rapid Fire Question Segment. Are you ready for this? I don't think.
Oh, yes. So ready.
So all you got to do for
rapid. I love test rapid.
Yes. Go get tested.
So I love fires.
For this, all you gotta do, you know, just like think with your heart and shoot from the hip. You know, it's just whatever comes to your mind right away.
Got it.
You ready?
Yes.
All right. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Yes.
MTV or Fuse?
Fuse. I feel like we interacted a lot more with Fuse on Warped Tour. I felt like they were always around. This is not necessarily a positive or a thumbs up or thumbs down to either. I'm just picking Fuse because it's
absolutely
ingrained in me. But I did want my MTV when I was younger. So
there you go.
So did
PlayStation or Xbox?
I never got to the Xbox world. All my friends had them. I was always a PlayStation kid.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's like I think I just truly like it.
Maybe
really
because it's better.
Well, you know what, and I don't even think that that's true. As a PlayStation kid, I think that for me, it was more of I was starting to get sidetracked real hard with music and playing in a really bad band, like 20 plus years ago with my now bass player. And I think like I started to teeter off right after like, you know, the like PlayStation 2 whatever, like right after that. And that was kind of the same time that like Xbox came in, but like I never made the jump. Whereas if I had kept gaming, I'm sure would have made the jump to go on console with all my other friends, but I didn't, which is why I'm saying PlayStation 2.
Well, that's fair. But I knew there was something like wrong.
This is important. This one's important. Is a sweatshirt a sweater?
Do you sweat in both?
You could. If you're a sweating kind of guy.
Huh. Did he just ask us a rapid fire question? Huh.
He did. He just rapid fired us.
He just flipped that. He just flipped that shit. Huh.
Would it not be conceivable that it is a sweatshirt a sweater? I mean, dude, honestly, do you know how much people are paying for like some custom Drake sweatshirts nowadays? A lot more than I've ever paid for a sweater. So I don't know. You tell me, right? What is one typically, you know, what classifies the sweater? Is it price? Is it value? Is it material? Because I feel like they're all there.
Okay, we got a couple dangerous ones left. Tom DeLonge or Matt Skiba?
Dude, I love Aliens. Tom. 100%.
Right.
100% Tom.
Guitar Hero or Rock Band?
Ooh, Guitar Hero. It's just college, you know.
I mean, it's the right answer too. It's
the
right answer. Last question: Newfound Glory or Simple Plan?
I mean, definitely.
We're asking him to choose his friends over
yeah,
his friends.
No, it's fine. They'll all understand. But no, I mean,
Pierre, no, you're sorry.
Dude, they wrote. Hey, honestly, Canada's given them plenty. You know, they're good. They get it. They don't need me.
They're all right.
They're okay. They did have some bangers. They did do the whole rooftop ballad thing really well.
And did you see their like live performance with the symphony? Bam, man. That was so good.
Incredible.
Well, that's just unfair. Anytime you put an orchestra behind it, Metallica taught us that with S&M.
Right.
So I will say Newfound, but only because that was truly like, I still have the memory of, I guess it was, yes, it was the self-titled record that had Hit or Miss on it, and Dress to Kill was it was a burned copy of the CD. I also did have the actual CD, but for some reason I like had a burned CD that was like in whatever CD player, and
That's okay.
The pirated version, the one track, there was like a glitch and like a skip, like a digital skip, like a halfway through like the second verse or something of Dress to Kill, and I listened to it, and to this day I still know that song. And it was actually funny when we toured with them years ago. I think me and somebody else did the like, hey, you remember like the and we both like realized, like did it at the same time, and I almost lost my mind because it was like, cool, we definitely grew up in the world of internet piracy. This sucks.
What a memory.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And I think I've now gotten it out of my system. I mean, I haven't listened to that in a while, but I think I've now gotten that out of my system so that it's no longer ingrained. I forget where it is.
That's fantastic.
Now, but,
That's fantastic. Well, Casey, you did it. You made it through the podcast. Congratulations. Here's a cookie, I guess. Damn it, I want a cookie. Actually.
Cookie's in the mail.
It's on its way.
Yeah,
a little trophy is on its way too.
You guys, well, thanks for the support, guys. I really
no problem. Dude, thank you so much for being here, for talking to us. So with that, plug the band, plug your podcast. Tell us what's next. What you got coming up?
We got a lot of songs every night for a lot of days in a row. In February and March, we are touring. We are playing both the Upsides and Suburbia. I've given you all and now I'm nothing in full every night. Quite an undertaking, not only to play, but I'm sure to listen to. So hang in there with us. It'll be fun. We're all in it together.
Can't wait.
But that's going to be awesome. And what a grand return, physically and emotionally to touring. So crossing our fingers that everybody stays healthy, all stays well. It is still a very unpredictable time, obviously, as we practice about a month out. So with that, we're doing that. And then also around the same time, season 2 of my podcast, The Record Process, which is hosted by myself and my partner at True Level Studio, Mr. Tom Conran, who's an incredible engineer, very gifted, creative mind. It will be us and a bunch of friends, old and new, each week talking about a legendary record that guest for that week has had a hand in making, whether that be the band themselves.
Where can we find that podcast?
That podcast is called, you can on Instagram at The Record Process. You can find it, I mean, any platform, wherever you digest it, wherever you're listening.
Perfect.
I would say wherever you're listening to this, if you're listening to this podcast, that would probably be a good place to start. Just go search The Record Process. You'll see a lot of colors and some bars and some text that says as such. And looking really forward to that. We've had some incredible conversations about, those people's processes, making those records and the stories behind them, the things that changed the course of how they came out and how they came together. It's really interesting stuff. It's kind of, similar to what we discussed here, but way more specific to records that, changed the course of people's lives in some cases, and some that are very new and I think have a good chance at changing the course of both the artist's career trajectory and people who maybe find out about them. So we're trying to do both sides of the coin, and maybe show some new stuff, because I love listening to podcasts and being like, ooh, that book, ooh, that band, great. So that's going to be really cool. You can find that out there. And I would recommend, if you're listening, I don't know when you're listening to this, but if it's before episodes start dropping, obviously do the subscribe thing and, help us out. Leave a little review, talk about, make a joke, say what you don't like about somebody. No, don't do that. Say what you like about somebody, or just make it fun. If, you don't have to be like, oh my God, they're great. Oh my God. Just pop in and be like, hey, I'm here because you told me to do it, so I did it. what now? Where's my cookie? Is it in the mail? Here's my address. Don't put that on the internet. You know? So I don't know, do whatever you want, but also you can reach out in a more formal way to us, either through my website, which is CaseyCavaliere.com, or through TrueLevelStudio.com. And you will find everything you need and more there. And also, I'm usually on Instagram, if any social media platform, more regularly than any of the others. And you can find me there at @case_rock. And that's about it. Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming to this podcast. Guys, this has been another episode of Where Did All My Friends Go? A podcast about life in the music industry. Pat, do you have any last words that you want to say before we get the fuck out of here?
Absolutely. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching our video and for supporting Unsigned Pop Punk. Without you, we wouldn't be here. Make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any more content.